All right, here we go. All righty. So this is cool. We got Or in Bogota and Suzanne in Minneapolis and Ingeborg. Where are you, Ingeborg?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yep.
And we have Giorgio. Where are
¿Qué tipo de
you?
fruta es eso? Chontaduro. Chontaduro. ¿No? Buen alimento. En jugo.
Giorgio's in Switzerland.
Yeah.
I'm in Seal Beach, California.
Red. And then we have Jane in the North Pole or South Polar. Someplace very.
Svalbard.
There you go. So I'm gonna give you guys this is Lulu from St. Louis. I'm gonna give you the ingredients to Lulu's cream of mushroom soup. We have a pound. I guess I could show you my ingredients. And you could see, I was discussing how the mushrooms they don't necessarily have to be fresh. In fact, they taste better when they've been getting a little brown and slimy, which is kind of cool.
I like that.
That's what my mushrooms look like. And this is a pound. So they're not happy. They wouldn't be real pretty in a salad. And I rinsed them and dried them. And they're just going to get a quick saute in a couple of tablespoons of butter. So that's a pound of white mushrooms. Next, we have 2 quarts of any kind of broth you like. I have mine in this old Hardee's container. I made this from scraps from my freezer. I have like mushroom stems and old celery hearts and carrots about ready to go limp. And I throw all these things in the freezer and then I make a broth. So that is my broth. So you need 2 quarts of broth. And then 1 cup of tenderly chopped or tender celery chops. You want a whole cup of that. And a half a cup of sliced onions, 2 tablespoons of shredded parsley, 1 ounce of dried mushrooms. I have my homemade dried mushrooms, but you can also use a dry packet that you would get of like European mushrooms. And to your ounce of mushrooms, an hour before you start cooking, and this water will go into the broth that I just showed you, the 2 quarts. So once these get hydrated, they're going to get chopped, and then I'm going to saute them in a little butter for a little bit, and then they're going to get put all together in a broth. So you have your dried mushrooms, and that's one of the secrets. Old fresh mushrooms and dried mushrooms. You also need 3 cups of either milk, half and half, or you could even use heavy whipping cream. And I'm going to use a combination because I have whipping cream that needs to be used up. I use half and half in my coffee every day, so I always have that, and I always have milk. Other ingredients you need is 2 teaspoons of chervil and a half a cup of dried cherry, which is optional, but I really like the flavor of that. And then salt and pepper to taste and to cook with as you go along. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is chop up my mushrooms and get them sauteing. Oh, and so you also, if you need to get equipment out, you're going to need your blender. I need a bigger kitchen, or I need you know how everybody has their, what do you call it, cameras set up? I need to start doing that. So
Yeah, but we kind of threw you on the spot, so.
yeah, right. But no, this is fun because also I'm a lot like Or, where I like to use things up or catch things before they go bad. Push comes to shove, if you don't feel like making a soup with these, at this stage, I would throw them in the refrigerator to be used for my soup stock. So I have not thrown a mushroom away in like forever.
You ever bought, dehydrated mushrooms like shiitakes? Quite often you can buy them dehydrated. I wonder how that would work.
Yes. So, and what's really cool, I've been thinking about as I cook, what's good to take with you camping? And because dried mushrooms get so much flavor to them, and they're literally so light, an ounce of dried mushroom is a lot of flavor. And once it's hydrated, so I'm thinking about what would be cool camping food. Things that are convenient, lightweight, nutritious, tasty. Bottom line is everything I do with food, it's about the eating and the enjoyment of the food. I'm always thinking about what flavors are imparted. Sorry, I'm not quicker, guys.
Take your time.
I-
I'm making some vegetable soup broth.
Oh, good. Do you want to talk about what you're doing while
So-
I'm working away here?
Sure. So, I mean, do I have to unthingy you?
Yeah,
I wonder how I do that.
unthingy me.
Maybe I do it.
You know how
Remove
I like to
spotlight. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Let's see. Oops.
You
Whoops.
pin yourself, Suzanne, I think.
Pin myself.
Maybe I can do it.
Spotlight
Hold
for
on.
everyone.
Oh, there you go. There you
Got
go.
it.
That means
Okay.
he's going steady
Great.
with it.
So basically what I'm doing is I'm just making a vegetable stock. So all these little guys have been sitting in my freezer for a few weeks. And I roasted them up a little bit, give them a little bit of color. And now I am just going to simmer them for a little while until I feel like they're finished.
So you're not
And
going to
so-
pressure cook them
Nope, not going to pressure cook.
because
I've
I
got-
see you're in a pressure cooker.
I am. In fact,
Yeah.
look, I'm on my
Oh, and your
My-
induction burner. Cool.
induction burner. So I've got onion skins, onion ends, some celery pieces, kale, some cabbage, some carrot bits. I think that's probably it. Yeah, so that'll give me some nice flavor. Plus, I don't have any onions right now, so that onion flavor should, I'll cook it a little bit longer so I can get some onion flavor in that. And then I've also
Yeah.
got some dried mushrooms, so I'm going to make that, but I will put that when I actually make the vegetables soup. So
I've never done it, but I know that when people make stock, sometime they make a bouquet garni that they put in there to, with
Oh.
spices and stuff.
yeah, I forgot that.
That way the
So-
spices, you can pull them out and they're not actually the physical part of the spices and, left in the broth, but that's just the flavor.
Yeah, I forgot to do that, so I'm going to have to at least we'll toss some thyme in it. What else should I put in there?
A bay leaf.
Oh, I gotta go and get a bay leaf unless I have any here. If not, I'll go to my tree.
Oh, spice.
There we go. I have some here. Some Oh, allspice, you said?
Yeah.
Now it's a couple chunks in there.
And the other thing, what's nice about what you're doing, if you didn't have the onions, the broth you could use in a recipe later and then put all the onions you want if you're using it for a soup or a stew. It's not like if it's missing something, it's not like you can't add it later if you're using it in a future recipe.
Yep.
And what's so fun, having my stock, because she's making the stock that I told you about, that's how I got this. I keep this in the fridge. So instead of water, I just use this for making rice. And it has this wonderful flavor. If she wanted to make it a yellow broth, she could throw turmeric, like tons of turmeric without adding a real distinctive flavor, but a lot of beauty and color.
Yeah, when I make rice, I have bone broth, chicken bone broth, and I don't make it, I buy it, but I use it to make my rice, or at least part of the liquid when making rice. And it gives it nice flavor.
So one of the things I meant to tell you about, I ran through all the ingredients you need, but it's really important to tell you what equipment you need, because this should have been my big stock pot with a heavy bottom, should have been warming for a while now, because this is what I have to saute these mushrooms in. So you need a heavy bottom stock pot. I mean, you could use a cast iron, what do you call those things? Dutch oven, so you're starting a saute, but it's ultimately going to be, the soup will be in this pan or this
The main
pot.
thing is not have a too small a pan.
So I have one quite a bit smaller than this, but I did opt to go with a little bit more room. What this is going to give me as well is more of a surface, so it should cook quicker. So I'm going to turn this down because I don't really want to brown my butter. But I'm going to go ahead and throw my mushrooms in there. They get kind of a quick saute. Part of not wasting is making sure everything makes it into the pot.
Yes.
If something doesn't make it into a pot, I track it down and I say, you may try to escape, but I'm going to eat you anyway. And I find them. But if you go slow, it all gets into the pot. So I'm going to turn this down. Now I'm actually going to put the lid on this because I'm okay with keeping the moisture. I'm going to turn it down. And now I need my celery. All right, so you're going to see how I end up getting some scraps. I washed this celery and I really want the pretty stuff to go in. I don't want this brown stuff. So this is part of the scraps that's going to go into for my next broth. It's not good enough for a pretty soup, but it still has enough flavor to, so I'm just going to set this aside. And what did I say? I needed a cup of tender. So I'm just going to cut through the top of this and do it really fine to make it as tender. Doesn't necessarily have to be, in my opinion, the heart. It just definitely has to be not overly chewy. This is going to get processed anyways. Oh. That looks like a cup or so, doesn't it?
Sure.
I was really impressed with Darlene last week where she chopped all those things into the little tiny, tiny pieces.
Yeah.
That was quite a project.
Okay, you're going to also see more that's going to get added to my soup stock thingy. When I'm cleaning an onion, I don't care that the skin goes in. I'm going to throw this top part in. I don't even have to clean it up. I'm going to throw this little stubbing end, and I'm just going to take this outer layer so I can actually clean it up quickly, because even though even though I'm not having to mess with the skin, but I'm not wasting this really good good, outside layer. And then it gets all put in here. Once again, this is going into the freezer when I get a quart size full of it. And what I say, a half a cup of slices. Sliced onion.
So when you make vegetable stock, how long do you normally simmer it for? I don't know. I
So
never
I
watched
feel
one.
like it's really given up what it's going to give up.
Mhm.
So probably an hour. Maybe not as long as if it's a lot of tender stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's really, it's a very pretty, gosh, peachy, reddish, orangey thing.
Well, what's interesting about my broth, it never comes out the same way twice with it, which is
Okay.
fun and annoying. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh,
Especially
oh, I've got to do my dried mushrooms. So this was one of the steps. So remember, this is my stock. This is 2 quarts of stock. I'm gonna drain this is the soaked dried mushrooms. It's this, you want to catch that water because once again, it's all about getting as mushroomy a flavor as you can get. Oh, I have something else in the refrigerator my daughter gave me. I'm glad I thought about this. She sauteed mushrooms and they gave up all their juices and she threw it, because she would just throw it away and not use it. I'm like, give it to me. So she came into my house with a little baby food jar of this, a couple tablespoons of this dark nectar. She says, I know you don't want me to waste this. And so I can throw that into this mushroom soup.
nice.
Yeah, so don't let me forget to put that in there.
Okay.
All right, so this is the last of the mushrooms. Because I need to. Because this stuff needs to go in with the mushrooms. This out of the way. It's dirty dishes. Where's my sous chef? So you want to cut these rehydrated mushrooms. You want to just run a knife through them. You don't want them huge because they could be real woody and dry. And all right.
Don't you put them in hot water to swell?
Yeah, they've been in the hot water for about an hour.
Yeah.
So they're all hydrated. Now I want to get them sauteing with the fresh mushrooms. All right. But they hydrated to be quite a lot.
Yeah, they do. Usually we do it overnight to hydrate them.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I could have easily done them overnight. Okay, let me rinse my hands because I'm going from chef to camera person. All right, so this is the sauteed mushrooms. And let me grab a thing to stir them. They're in a couple tablespoons of butter. That's a pound. Oh, it's really smells yummy. Okay. So to that, I'm going to add the rehydrated ones and let them saute for a minute.
When will you add your daughter's leftover?
Oh, I can dump that right now in that broth.
Okay. Just so we don't forget.
So you don't make a roux first. You usually make
Oh,
the
no,
roux.
I have to make a roux. The
Yeah.
roux will happen while the broth is cooking. So Wait, did you guys see where I put the stirrer? Oh yeah, here it is. All right. So to that, I don't know, can you see? I'm gonna let the hydrated mushrooms cook in with the fresh. We're gonna let them kind of do their happiness. I'm gonna raise it just a little bit. I think I'm gonna put it on medium. All right. So to this, I'm going to be adding the celery and the onion and the broth, and it's going to start doing, adding more flavors. See, I can't waste that. I'll get that out with my spatula. I know it only looks like it ends up what people sometimes just rinse away is that's a good half a teaspoon of mushrooms. That's a part of being a very conservative chef. Okay, this is dirty. I've learned not to put dirty dishes in soap right away because that's just dirty with mushroom. So if I need it again, I don't need to get rid of all the mushroom stuff. And this is what all my recipes look like, guys. They have splotches of spills.
Nice.
This will get immortalized in my recipe thing. All right. So we put the water in. Okay. And so right now I'm going to make a roux. I have to find my chervil. I found my sherry and salt and pepper. So right now I'm going to add some salt and pepper to the mushrooms. I would have added it a little earlier, but this is one layer of the chemical salt doing its thing in the cooking process. So I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of salt and about a quarter teaspoon of pepper. So I have my butter melted in the back for my roux. Now my roux is 4 tablespoons of butter, or you could use oil. And then I'm going to add to that anywhere, depending on what you feel like. I've seen all sorts of ratios, usually 1 to 1, or you can do a little less. So you can do 4 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of flour. I kind of like going for the thicker stuff. Uh-oh, I'm missing my flour jar. Hold the phone.
Your flour is on your counter.
The what?
You're looking for your flour. It's right there on the counter.
Oh, shit. Shoot, heck. Sorry. I already took it down, didn't see it. Okay, so let me show you this. I don't know. Just so you can see, that's my roux, basically melted butter. It actually I could looking like ghee. And I'm just gonna sprinkle in. I'm gonna do the 4. Now this is where you kind of want to go with a real clean brush because you don't want to introduce any moisture because that will start thickening it. You're just gonna cook the flour. This is how you start all roux. So
It's a paintbrush. That was interesting. I never seen that before.
a what?
I never seen that before. It was a paintbrush to put it in your butter.
No, it's not. It's a spatula. It's
Oh,
a
it's a
scraper. It's just
Long scraper. Yeah,
it is the coolest one. I found it in Oregon at a secondhand
it is
flea
very
market.
cool. It is cool.
The lady had like 8 of them. I bought all 8 of them. I have 2 because I go through them real quick and they're heat resistant. So, and they can get deep down into things. So is this my 3rd or 4th one? You guys counting with me?
I think that's
Yeah.
probably 4.
Yeah, it looks like 4. You got to watch me.
So that's
can't
the first
talk.
one. You need
Yeah.
another. You only had 3.
That was only 3, okay. But let me show you what it looks like. It's not on the heat yet. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
not too lumpy and eventually all the lumps will get out. So I'm gonna do 1 more tablespoon.
You know, that's the first cooking lesson you learn in any school, how to make roux.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know, some things you just have to be patient. I can't do this fast. I had to focus and it's you got to be in the moment. So it's all creamy. Now, the most important step that some cooks may forget here is right now, if you tasted this, because it's just flour and butter, it would taste like flour and it would not taste good at all. You need to toast this or rather heat it. I'm going to put it on kind of medium high. I'm going to watch it. You heat it and the flavor of the flour cooks off. Something about it. And then if you keep it there a long time, like slowly keep cooking it, you can brown it. So it's a brown butter flour goodness.
Yeah,
And
they
it's
do that for what's the New Orleans dish? Gumbo.
all
They make the brown roux.
that is just decadent. So you can see, I think you can still get the same chemical browning with olive oil. It's just not going to taste the same. You know, that's just my opinion. One of the other pieces of equipment you will want to have ready is your trusty dusty powerful mixer of some kind. Now, you could eat this chunky and not puree it, but this is going to get put in there and this is all going to cook happily for 20 minutes and then get blended. So right now to the mushrooms, I'm adding the celery and the onion.
Could you use an immersion blender to do that?
I think you could. I'm going to add this entire broth.
Because to put it in the blender and then have to take it out of the blender back into the pot, it seems like the immersion blender would be a better.
So this is going
Option.
to be strained.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
going to separate the chunks, and then only the chunks are getting to put in the blender with maybe just a half a cup of moisture. Now,
Okay.
when I get to the bottom of this, I want to swirl this around because a lot of the sediment of the vegetables and stuff. Okay, so I can't multitask. Let me just show you what's going on back here. So this is, can you see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's boiling away. It's still very creamy. I'm going to turn this down to low for right now. And the way you test this, you know, stir it for a while. The way you test this without hurting yourself is to literally, when you first started, you should have smelled it. Because there's a smell of flour right before you start. And I'm still smelling just a little hint of flour.
And you can see
you
it when
can
the
also,
white stuff on the side. I mean, I learned the cooking a little bit different. What you are doing, I do all in one pot. You know, you're having 3 pots. That's too much work for me.
well,
But
you know, the next go around, you can cook or instruct me from the beginning. But anyway, so this is how, now one of the steps you could do is add the milk to this and then incorporate it with this when it's done. But yeah, I guess the immersion blender is better. This is kind of how I've been doing it, and I'm open to learning other ways.
I mean, the immersion blender might break that roux. That'd be something I would be thinking about maybe.
No, I wouldn't do I would do the immersion of the
The other ingredients
I would do the immersion of the broth and the vegetables
without the roux. Yeah.
without the roux.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna make the roux complete. Like the butter's still toasting a little bit. I'm gonna just put that eventually in the soup. You know, that can sit there for a minute and just hang out. normally I would make a pot of roux, so it is two big pots of things, but eventually all this is gonna get incorporated in blending. Right now, we have about 20 minutes for the broth to do its happiness. Let me see what else I need to be doing. I turned off. So I'll need 3 cups cream. Oh, I should find my sherbet and the dry sherry, because the sherbet, I probably could have added the sherbet in with, even in where it is now. I would wait to do the sherry towards the end. I'll be right back. I have to run and find my sherbet. I think it's in the back part of my.
So this is the intermission now.
Intermission, yeah. Well, so way I do, it was over here. I do this thing. You start with a roux.
Go back to showing them your broth or talking about something in your freezer.
I was gonna look at my cat. They're not my cats. They're the temporary cats. Of course, by the time Lulu gets back, I'll have this figured out. All right.
Yeah, but don't you guys start any kind of bechamel sauce or any roux type? I start with a roux, cook the stuff before up and blend it what I wanted, but I only use 1 pot. I don't use 3 pots for anything. It's too much work for me.
Yeah,
I did.
depends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I put them in the cuisinart up front, so I don't need to shop everything. So it kind of,
Oh,
different.
you didn't use a food processor?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. I don't use my food processor very much.
You got it right in front of you.
This one?
That way you could use that too, because on the end result, because when you want to have a cream of something, to cream it up really, you don't need to separate as such, because you're only incorporating the flavors, right?
No, you're talking about the vegetables, like the.
Yeah, anything. I mean, the point is, you need a liquid to do the roux, right? And the liquid is a combination of what you fixed before, and you can do the sautéed mushrooms later on and the soaked one. But once you have your roux, and then you incorporate the rest only in it, and put your cream in, and then your sherry at the end, and then the soup is finished. And you simmer it this way, then all together in the roux to finish it up.
Oh, so
Yeah.
all the recipes that I've read, and I'm sure there's different ways, they would do all the cooking of the vegetables and the liquid, other than the roux and the
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and never any of the dairy. The
Well,
majority.
the dairy comes to the end to it, but the dairy is only the same like dairy, and the sherry or the alcohol you put in. That is, you don't cook that very much, because
Right.
but that's it's just a matter of how to do stuff. But I do my stuff out of this book.
Well, I'd be interested to try it that way.
It's just too complicated for me.
Just so you know, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of dried sherbet into
Now,
the.
sherbet is what is that translated? Sherbet is Bohnenkraut, isn't it?
It smells kind of not dilly exactly, but thyme-ish. It's kind of a light, almost like a celery. I don't know. It's just I've had sherbet. I don't use it a lot.
It's sometimes called French parsley.
Yeah, it has like a real light. Oh, parsley. I was supposed to add parsley. You guys, I really can't talk and cook at the same time. So let me show you my hydroponics and I know I talk about this a lot, but this is another way of not wasting. It's a closed system. It's one of those nice bags. And oh, this is cilantro. So you can see it. And it's doing happy well. It's been in there for about 5 days. But I'm gonna close this guy back up because it's not cilantro I want. And the secret is not to have the leaves all wet. I might make something with that. Finding the parsley. You know, a little bit of dill or fresh thyme would be good in this. All right. What did I say? A couple of sprigs of parsley. And then once again, I don't always use the stems. I'll put this in with the freezer thing of making vegetable broth. And that's got to go in there. So that's my broth, which is not even up to a boil yet.
Did you turn it on?
Yeah, but I didn't realize that my broth was actually cold from the fridge. I'll show you what it looks like. It smells wonderful.
Oh, yum.
So it needs about 20 minutes to, let me put my timer on. Can we pause the recording, Fred? You guys
Let me
want
see. I'm not sure.
Or we could have part 1 and part 2 and just. All righty. So the broth has cooked for 20 minutes and it's a nice, deep, rich color. And what I'm going to do is strain this off and put it in my food process. Well, not my food processor, my Vitamix.
Which is very powerful.
Yeah, and it can handle super hot stuff. So I'm gonna just, I have a colander. And I'm so glad I used the large pot.
So if I were doing that, I would probably, I should highlight you. Oh, you're still highlighted. Yeah, if I were doing it, I just have a regular blender. I would do it in small batches. Or I would use my immersion blender.
I would use the immersion blender. That way you don't have to move the pot. Don't have to drain it and
Have
do
an
all that.
immersion
It's
blender,
an
but
ex-
I have one, but it's just sometimes it feels like, I don't
I have a
know.
real fancy one that's got like 3 speeds and all kinds of, it's kind of like the Vitamix version of an immersion blender.
Nice.
So it's works really well.
So part of the problem with this is I'm dealing with really warm. So this is really hot. So that is kind of the
You need to
immersion
get-
blender. The immersion blender would make this easier.
You're
Ooh,
probably gonna have to put a little liquid in there, aren't you? Though.
yeah. And it could be any broth. If I feel like it's too strong, it could be water. I mean, the only thing I wouldn't incorporate yet is any of the
This is where
dairy.
you get a ladle to get that broth out of the pan into the blender.
Well, you know what? One of the steps from the Joy of Cooking says at this point is I should have the roux, and this broth and this vegetable is going to get added to the roux. So actually the roux should be the biggest pot, or the ultimate pot that this, is going in. Let me put this over here. Okay,
Yeah, the problem is the amount of roux you are making that pot, it would be very kind of thin. It would be hard to control it, I think.
Yeah.
So you mean you're talking about the super big pot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you tried to put that little pan of roux that you've got on the back of the stove into that big pot, it'd be kind of like disappear. I mean, you'd have to be very careful that it didn't burn and stuff like that. Be harder to control, I think.
So I'm just, sorry, if I don't do this step, when that stuff dries on, that colander's a nightmare to clean. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna, you know what I could do? Timer off. Let me take a look, see, I'm just gonna double check my roux because it's been sitting. You know what I could do? So let me just show you what the roux looks like. Oh, it smells so good.
You're not gonna put it in the blender, I hope.
No, not the roux. I think what I might do, and this is just for the sake of flavor, and you know, I'm gonna have to be doing the cleanup, but I'm really wanting to ensure that this turns out exactly the way I want with the ultimate flavor. I am going to do a different pot. I'm gonna do the mid-range pot. So hang on, I'm coming. All right. All right. Where'd you guys go? Oh. So I'm just gonna get this pot. Now this is my medium-sized pot. I'm gonna get this pot just warming up the bottom, and I'm gonna finish the roux up in this pot. Only to make it as complicated as possible, but trust me, it'll be well worth it. So I'm going to ladle in.
This is Lulu's use every pot in the house.
Yes.
Food.
Yeah.
Yeah, one pot, or there'll be one pot that's clean when it's over.
There you go. That's perfect. It's nice because then you cycle through all the dishes just to know that you still have them and they're still.
This is why I love my Instapot.
And when I get all that, I'll eventually do the recipe like that. But right now, my goal is with what I have and my abilities and
No,
how
I get it. I get it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we're
this
just
is-
giving you grief.
okay,
Yeah, we're just
so
giving you a hard
one
time.
of the most important things is to look at what this is set at. So it's on high and 10. So I need to turn it down to variable and 1. And
Does it have a pulse mode? Where you push the button and it pulses and then release the button?
No, it does not. So
Okay.
I have to start low and then switch it to high. But it's because it's so hot, you really always want to be extra, extra careful because this is how people get burnt.
Yes.
All right, so.
It's awfully fancy.
All righty. She's a blended. And this is very warm still. Woo-wee. Hot, 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 hot. So was that loud?
No, because Zoom cuts out loud noises automatically.
It did work, huh?
Oh yeah.
All right, so I am going to, let's see, move things around. Sorry, guys. I would love to have my kitchen set up so I could be more happy with the, what do you call it? The your camera angles and what you guys see.
Videoing.
Yeah, hang on 1 second. I wasn't paying attention.
Nobody's paying attention.
All right.
What is nobody paying attention to?
I was warming up this pot to make finish up the roux, and it was screaming hot and wouldn't have worked. It would have been a disaster. So I had to cool the pot down before I continued.
So you're making your roux now, right?
Well, I already have the flour, and I'm
Yeah.
just going to be adding gradually a little bit of the milk.
Right.
Now the dairy part of it. And
Mhm.
to that, I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. And you know what? I didn't taste my broth for salt, which I need to do. Put this on here.
You can do that always at the end.
What's that? The salting?
Yeah, because you make it now with okay. So
All right. So
yeah,
I need
yeah,
to show you guys what I'm doing. So this is on low heat. And this is the roux I'm making. Okay, it's on low heat, but your goal is to slowly incorporate the liquid, but I can't do it very well one-handed. I should be stirring as I'm adding this. And your goal is no lumps. So and the secret is to really get the lumps out before adding more. But it's thickening up as it heats, so gets to
You
be
can put the phone down. It's okay.
the phone.
Yeah,
Oh.
you
The
can.
camera.
Oh, it's actually, I'm picking up my whole damn computer.
Oh my gosh, really?
Truly. I looked at the camera like a GoPro on my head.
It's amazing.
That would be fun. We call it adventure cooking.
Yes.
I do like experimenting and what ifing flavors or techniques. It's really kind of fun. I could never do those competitions, any kind of uber crazy competitions where, they have like X amount of time to get things done. That would be so difficult.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous when they do that stuff. I guess it's entertaining. It's entertainment.
Honest to God, I'd be like, medic.
Yep, me too.
Yeah,
I'd be the first person to die. Like,
right.
I'd go down in history. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, so I added 3 cups of a combination of milk and half. And now I'm gonna slowly warm this up. Alternate between my spatula and my whisk. And just bring this up to a simmer. That's how it thickens. It's just, and I usually don't leave it just sit for very long on the heat, because that's when it will sometimes glump. It'll cook too much on the bottom or thicken too quickly on the bottom. This is kind of a large pot, so. Oh, it smells so good. I love the smell of butter and flour and milk. It is a nice smell. Sorry, this cooking show is running so long, folks. This is,
We're just hanging out.
is anybody like in a later time zone than Central? Oh yeah, Ingeborg.
Ingeborg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's making dinner as we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you what it looks like. I wish Can't wait until they have smell-o-vision.
Uh-huh. That would be so nice.
But let me do this guy. It's just, can you see how it's just starting to get a little waver to it? It's just now starting to thickening up, thicken up.
Mhm.
Wonder how you say that in Spanish or in French would be fun.
Good night, Jane. Sleep well.
Good night, Jane. Oh yeah, I should have been talking about how you can still make this vegan.
Vegan.
You instead of you could use an oat milk or a soy milk. That
Mhm.
would be fun to experiment to try to come up with the best tasting vegan.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'd be down to be part of that experiment.
What isn't vegan on this? What you're doing?
The milk and the butter.
Mhm.
Oh, and the other thing would be make it gluten free. I just wanted to perfect it with the, I guess the French technique or the.
Mhm.
This is a combination of joy of cooking and frugal gourmet. And
Frugal gourmet, yeah, I got that.
oh, I loved him. He has some good recipes. Too bad he was a pervert. I mean, that's where you can have both positive and negative in the same person.
Mhm.
You know, you don't always want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Oh, it smells so good. I have it on medium. I'm leery to make it go quick because you never want to burn the bottom of this. And so slow and gentle is just safe.
Nice.
And cooking is patience. Isn't that pretty?
Mhm. That's awesome.
And I think it could probably thicken once this is with the broth. It wouldn't be any heartburn, but I kind of wanted to see if I can get this thicker. Maybe what I'll do is I'll raise it and not stop stirring. Oh, it smells so good. Do you guys like cream of wheat?
Yes, I do.
And what is the other thing? Oh, there's that hard-boiled egg and a roux that you put over toast and you put a little Worcestershire sauce on it.
I've never heard of that.
SOS. That's delicious. You make a roux and you chop up a
Mhm.
bunch of hard-boiled eggs in it and onion. You saute an onion with it. And then you make a piece of toast and you put this, I think it's SOS. I think it's the, you know, poo-poo on a shingle.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
there's something about the Worcestershire on top of that. Ooh, I'm gonna go ahead and add my sherry to this and let that start cooking some of the alcohol out. Oops, I'm gonna turn it down because I had it on high. So I think this is definitely what I would call adult flavors as far as, you know, it's not your Campbell's soup cream of mushroom.
The soup.
This is like that on 10 on steroids. Or it might be more the R-rated version versus, well, you know, Campbell's soup, cream of mushroom might be your G-rated or
Mm-hmm.
this would be, oh, it smells so good with the sherry in there.
Yeah, the sherry, the acidity, yeah.
All right, I'm
I
gonna,
cook with sherry. I like to cook with alcohol a lot.
all right, so I'm gonna, I need to, sorry guys, I need to do a little maintenance. I have a mess right here and I want to take this.
Yeah, we want to taste it too. I mean, by now I'm hungry, okay?
Right.
Okay, so let me show you what the roux looks like, and I'm gonna just slowly incorporate. So that's the roux with the sherry in it. And then
But you put the sherry now already in it?
I did, just for
Huh.
just so while it's off the heat, I'm just gonna gradually add this broth from the,
Mhm.
and the broth is still pretty hot.
You want to use the whole broth?
I kind of do, because I'm trying to figure out if this ratio is gonna make me happy.
Oh, okay.
And if it's a runnier, or I can add more roux to this.
Well, then you need to start from scratch again.
Oh my God, this smells good.
You most probably can eat it just like this, right?
I did do 4 tablespoons of butter. Yeah. I guess it could cook or, well, I have to taste it, guys. Sorry. I'll just let you see it. It's very, very loose, very much
Yeah.
more
Yeah, that's why, because you had so much
broth.
liquid. Yeah, that's why I
And
started with the liquid and put the milk and stuff later on in it.
so
Then
with
you have-
this, you know what? That's okay. I'm gonna taste it, guys. I think it's gonna definitely need some salt. And I also have white pepper. Alrighty.
Should have enough flavor.
Wow. Yeah, I probably should have held back right when you said
Yeah, it's not enough. It's too
there's
much fluid.
probably about 4 cups in the bowl. When you said that, I should
Yeah.
have stopped and tasted. But it's not bad. It's instead of like a thick creamy soup, it's more like a mushroom tea.
Do you have the mushrooms already in there?
Yeah. Oh no!
Okay.
Oh my God! Oh, I'm space cadetting. No, here's all the good stuff. Oh,
Yeah,
That'll make a difference.
yeah.
oh my God.
That incorporate a little bit. That thickens it up and gives you the flavor.
Oh my God. I
Put
forgot.
some roux in there to mix it up again, so you get
I don't
everything.
think
in there.
I'll need the roux. I think this is gonna be
Yeah.
nice and creamy. Oh my gosh, you guys, I totally forgot because that tea, I think at that point we should bottle that stuff. This would be like, "Yeah, do you need a nightcap? You want some mushroom tea? Because it's mostly milk. It's mostly
Mush-
milk.
Mushroom tea, vegetable tea without mushrooms. Now is there mushrooms in it, right? Now you should have flavor.
It was the tincture or the broth.
And now it's going to thicken up too more when you have that stuff.
And it got that nice, it looked like really weak coffee and kind of tasted like really weak coffee. Now it's starting to look like a cup of joe. You guys see this, you guys? Wish you could see
Now
it.
it smells better, huh? Yeah, yeah. That's more like it, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Ah. You know, the only thing I should have some homemade croutons or some sauteed mushrooms just for some lumpy. Because you work so hard on getting this beautiful cream.
You can just throw some slices of bread in your toaster and then chop them up and make croutons.
Okay, I could do that.
Put a little, get some bread and put, and then after they're toasted and chopped up, you just put a little olive oil and kind of stir them up with some olive oil.
Yeah. And maybe a little more of that sherbal. Okay, so I'm going to do a taste test, you guys. I'm so excited. All right. Fresh spoon. That's good. Need salt. And what else do I want to add? Let me just see what the salt will do. Oh my gosh. It's not as thick. I think I still probably should have held back on some of the broth when Ingeborg said, hey. All right. So I probably added about hopefully a teaspoon of salt. Yeah, I think it could use even more mushrooms. So that was a pound of just the caps. I could have used all the stems. I saved the stems to put in my broth. Or my freezer broth. I guess that's what we call it, you guys. We can call it freezer broth.
Freezer broth. Yep.
Fresh spoon. That's for my daughter. Mm. That's delicious. I still would go with a lot, either less broth or a lot more mushroom, but it's creamy. And I don't even know what chervil's supposed to taste like. I think it is a similar to it, like a parsley. But that's it.
Good
Lulu's.
job. Good job, Lulu.
Now I have
Yay.
hours of cleaning to do in this kitchen here. I'll give you a scary preview.
Nice.
Everything
awesome.
is dirty. Cutting boards
Yay.
galore. But thank you guys for indulging me and experimenting. And I think the next one we'll do is with Ingeborg and work on doing a one potter thing.
Nice. Here,
But
should I
same
take this off?
recipe. Same recipe. And or Ingeborg, you can do a cooking show of a mushroom soup.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna stop recording here. Any last questions or any last comments? Lulu?
No, just thank you. I had fun.
Yay.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Lulu.
Lulu. You did a great job.
For
Great
doing
job.
spur of the moment. All right, where's the button?
Yeah.
Stop. Stop recording. You will